Hi, welcome to Make in India. So this series basically we are trying to bring through IPQC. Uh, the main objective of this entire session is to facilitate a Make in India for the SMEs, MSMEs basically. So we will be basically will be talking about uh, how IPQC can help, what are the strengths of IPQC, how IPQC can help MSMEs, and how MSMEs can use this platform to become a part of Make in India initiative. So if you see the some of the basically our achievements, IPQC is basically started in 2018, and it focuses more on MSMEs, focuses on digital services exclusively for MSMEs, and focuses on smart manufacturing. And we also strongly believe decentralized service delivery across major cities. So these are some of the things IPQC basically uh, uh, represents. And IPQC strengths is basically diversified, well experienced team. We are having a fantastic experts with us from different areas, and across the country we are having a very experienced subject matter experts from different domains. So that's a main strength, and focus on innovative solutions. We always come up with something like very innovative solutions for the current problems. So we always see the out of the box solutions for MSMEs, and we try to bring a collaborative and concurrent concepts in solution design. So that's a major differentiator. And aggregation and sourcing models to reduce the procurement cost. These are the supply chain related initiatives. We try to bring aggregation in the sourcing procurement side, and you can see that that basically is, reduces your total supply chain cost. Major initiatives are taken of IPQC Consulting so far. See, we have done some of the things like digital services. We initiated through msmeonline.in, and we are very aggressive on energy cost reduction through solar. And we also provide digital services such as digital marketing services for MSMEs, and e-learning LMS exclusively for the SME sector, MSME basically MSME sector, to reduce the basically cost of skilling. So these are some of the initiatives already taken. It is running, and you can see those initiatives. So I request you to visit our site msmeonline.in and understand our areas of initiatives. So what is the objective of this entire exercise? Why we focus on this very specifically? Before getting into that, I just want to briefly cover IPQC purpose. Why we started this. It is basically the improve the productivity of Indian MSMEs. Continuous quality improvement is the one important objective. designing cost reduction solutions for MSMEs, profitability of MSMEs at the end, MSME should be profitable, and improve global competitiveness of Indian MSMEs. These are some of the objectives from the beginning we are actually trying to achieve, and we can see whatever initiative we have taken is basically driven by these objectives. So if you see some of the MSMEs across India, the spread and the top 10 states, industrially developed states, contributing almost 6%, 74% total MSMEs number. You can see that in the first table. Basically is number of units in lakhs. Basically, each state you can see the number of units operating from these states. Almost you can see number one is UP, and UP is having almost 14% of Indian Indian SMEs, 14%. And similarly, West Bengal is having a lot of very high number of MSMEs. Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Bihar. These are some of the leading states. There are a lot of units concentrated. So UP generally is because of very near to a capital city, and the lot of population, a lot of resources available around, basically in industries like automobile is concentrated in near Delhi. And same thing in UP, there are many cottage industries, there are many agro processing units near Delhi area. And you can see that there are many, in the industrial clusters are located near Delhi area. And in UP, basically, you can see Lucknow and other areas, Kanpur, Lucknow. These are all industrial traditional clusters. There are many companies operating there almost last 50 years, more than 50 years. So well established micro enterprises are there. So you can see the highest concentration is in this area. And one is maybe the population market is available, and the resources available like water, plenty of water, and other things also available there from those areas. Because of that high concentration, West Bengal also similar thing. It is a coastal connected to the port, so there are a lot of concentration. Water is not a issue there, not a problem. So a lot of industries concentrated. There was a auto cluster also there. Like earlier it was Sun Motors. Now there are many mining area is very near to that area. So there are many companies, they're operating. They are traditionally operating from this region. So you can see there are many areas. Not only in engineering, maybe in other areas, traditional areas, they are very very active in those sectors. So you can see in Tamil Nadu down south is having almost 8% of the 8%. You can see 8% is concentrated in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu major industrial cities are like Chennai is the one, and Coimbatore is a second engineering cluster, and there are Tirupur and Madurai, Tiruchinappalli. There are plenty of even Hosur is a emerging industrial cluster in near Bangalore, but it is a part of Tamil Nadu. So you can see that high concentration of SMEs in this area. But the main reason is the coastal cities. These are all near to port. So there are a lot of things like if you want to import or export, you can use those facilities. Except UP, other states are all driven by local things. It is maybe because of ports, maybe because of raw material availability. These are all, MSMEs concentrated in those states. Maharashtra is the one is similar to Tamil Nadu. There are a lot of auto ancillary units are concentrated in Pune. There is a lot of industrial cities are there in Maharashtra. Many industrial cities are there. One is Bombay itself, a big industrial, chemical and pharmaceutical is famous. Famous for those industries, and there are many other clusters like Maharashtra. Majority, districts are well developed industrially. Traditionally, they are very strong in engineering. Engineering, you can see the Pune is the biggest cluster in the country, automobile cluster. You can see many companies, big companies are operating from these clusters, industrial clusters. MSMEs, they are basically suppliers to these big OEMs. So naturally there is a lot of growth opportunities for MSMEs. And you can see in Karnataka, same thing. It's but compared to Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, the concentration is only 6%, and North Karnataka is still not emerging as a industrial cluster, but recent development like Hubli, Dharwad, and Belgaum, these are the industrial clusters in North Karnataka emerging because it's proximity to many industrial clusters in Maharashtra and other areas. And Bangalore is the biggest industrial cluster, having a electronics industry, having a engineering industry, having machine tool industry. A lot of companies, MNCs are concentrated. So naturally, there is a tier 1, tier 2, suppliers, and there are many micro enterprises supplying the components to these big OEMs. And in addition to this, there are a lot of service sector is concentrated in Bangalore. And you can see the similar thing, but in a lesser scale is Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, almost 5%. Gujarat is 5%. Gujarat, maybe many units are basically pharma and chemical industries. Rajasthan is a little engineering companies are operating from Rajasthan. And Madhya Pradesh is once again is big state, but concentration is just a 4% of Indian MSMEs. You can see the total almost 74% in the top 10 states, and the remaining states basically 26%. And if you see the breakup of these MSMEs, the second table basically talks about the split of these industries: micro, small, and medium enterprises. You can see some of the states having a lot of micro enterprises. Majority are basically micro enterprises. At least more than 60% is basically micro enterprises, and 20 to 30% is small enterprises. And medium enterprises are very less, only in some areas like established cities, industrial cities. You can see that medium size companies. And this is taken from the Ministry of MSME department. This is the latest data is we got from the department website. And Make in India is initiated by the government of India in 2015. And there are a lot of sectors covered under that. And you can see automobile and engineering industry is the first thing, basically taken advantage of Make in India initiative. Electric vehicles nowadays, you can see that there are many companies are coming up. Even Tesla is exploring opportunity to set up the base in India through Make in India. And still they are negotiating the government of India. There are pharmacy and the chemical industry. There are many players who can supply, can become a suppliers to these pharma companies. And aerospace and defense is the biggest emerging sector. And aerospace, there are a lot of big players coming and setting up the base. Cities like Bangalore and Pune and Delhi, these are the emerging clusters in aerospace. And defense industry, like it's all these both things are well connected. Actually, there are a lot of things. Rafael is the one thing they're trying to set up the base manufacturing. At least they start assembling the units, and then design, setting up the manufacturing factories, facilities, and then getting into design. This defense, government of India is a lot of focus on defense to basically bring this make in India concept. And 68% of defense procurement is through Make in India. That shows that how much focus on Make in India initiative. And semiconductors and electronic industry is the biggest industry. You can see in recent crisis, there are a lot of issues, supply chain issues, supply of semiconductors, importing, becoming a big issue because of so many constraints, supply chain constraints. And there is now Make in India is helping India to basically set up these units in India. Basically, government of India is facilitating, giving incentives to the OEMs, and there are many big players are coming into this. Intel is recently announced that they are going to set up the biggest factory in Asia in India. So there are like that. There are many players coming into India, and in Andhra Pradesh there is two cities actually was exclusively there dedicated for the medical devices. Vizag is a medical devices, a cluster initiated by earlier government. And near Tirupati there is a electronics cluster. So in Bangalore, traditionally the electronic city is there exclusively for electronic components. So you can see that there are a lot of things are happening in electronic sector. There is soon we will overcome the shortage problem. There is a lot of imports happening, from countries like Taiwan, China, Korea. Many countries are exporting semiconductors and this electronic items from these countries. We try to reduce that, basically that import thing, and we want to make through Make in India, the local manufacturing, that gives a lot of scope for the engineering companies to get into design and manufacturing. And this industry, basically semiconductor and electronic industries, well connected to other industries also, like automobile and engineering, electric vehicles, mobiles, FMCG products. Everywhere now semiconductors and electronics is used, basically chips. These components are used in many of these OEMs. So there is a lot of focus on this sector, and the government of India recently announced production linked incentive for the semiconductors. Like that, they announced there are many initiatives they are taken under production linked incentives for the to encourage the companies to setting up base in India. But in these some specific sectors, they are highly focusing. They are giving more incentives to OEMs. Once OEM comes, basically the suppliers, tier 1, tier 2 suppliers also, they try to set up the base in India. So medical devices manufacturing, I told you there are at least 2-3 clusters already established. One in probably in Vizag, what I said, in AP, and there is one more in Madhya Pradesh. And textile and garment industry is a traditional industry, well established industry in India. But there is a lot of things you can bring Make in India initiative, because there are many brands. Basically what they do, the supply chain, some component is done in India, and some portion of government basically done outside, and there is a lot of global network is there. So under this scheme, probably there are many things we can bring that work to India under this probably initiative. So there is a lot of job opportunities, and you can improve, you can basically value adding is should be, we should focus more on value addition in especially this government industry. So getting that work, high end work from other countries, like a design related, there are many things can be done in a government. Customization is the one thing, big thing. Design related is our big value addition in the garment industry. Textile is traditionally it is concentrated in some traditional cities like Surat and Coimbatore. There are many, few, Tirupur is the one cluster actually. So now government is coming up with across the country there are many textile parks. They're going to set up with integrated textile parks, like from the end-to-end solution for the garment industry. So that can be a big change, game changer in the garment sector across the globe. Like many things earlier was seen only in a fragmented way. We have seen the work, but now holistic entire supply chain point of view we are seeing, and there is a huge opportunity in that. And there is a similarly food processing, because of government of India's focus on agriculture, there is a lot of things happening through FPOs, and there are many even international companies coming and setting up the food processing units in India through various initiatives. And FPO is the one thing is happening in a big way, and FPO is a decentralized concept. Like you can source a raw material, like it's not a centralized, it's decentralized. When you decentralize the thing, there is a lot of economic activity across the country happens. So agriculture and food processing industry is one industry you need to decentralize. When you decentralize, the wealth distribution actually happens. So there are other industries. Also, there is a Make in India concept, village and cottage industry. There are a lot of handicrafts. There are many things like related to local available material. They can convert those into products, eco-friendly product. There are many. Each state is having its own unique products. So something like especially like saris, like there are so many clusters are there, traditional clusters, weavers, basically like traditional weavers. They're traditionally they are very good in those segments. So repositioning, supporting them through some initiatives under Make in India is happening. So renewable energy sector, like a solar panel manufacturing, and there are many other basically items you need to manufacture for the renewable energy sector, because the renewable energy sector is growing very fast, and there is a huge opportunity for the energy sector, especially solar panel manufacturing and inverters manufacturing. There are many other items goes into renewable energy sector, like even windmill manufacturing, turbine manufacturing. There are many things, battery manufacturing. All this entire ecosystem comes under renewable energy sector. So there is a huge opportunities for the even MSMEs. Mining and metal industry dominated by the big players, and you can see that big mining companies across the world, they basically dominating the world. In India also there are many players, big players are there. and PSUs are they're dominating this sector. There is oil and gas. Oil and gas. Also, this is a big sector, and there are a lot of focus on make in India. Bringing the local things like substitutes for oil, like trying to explore. Instead of importing petroleum products from other countries, we try to explore locally. Basically in India, ONGC is doing that. There are many other players are doing that. And electric machinery, BHEL and BEL, and there are many players, PSUs related industry. There are many big players like Siemens, and there are many other established OEMs also there in this sector. Machine tools is the one big sector dominated by big players, and there is a lot of focus on this because when India start growing, basically there are a lot of demand for the machine tools. So, and construction industries are not actually covered, but there is a huge opportunity and a huge scope for make in India. There are many big players are coming into India, and they are setting up the base, and there is a fantastic opportunity for SMEs to become the suppliers to those companies. Hospitality and tourism. Hospitality and tourism is one sector. There is employment opportunities are more. There are like big players also there. There are small players also there. There are MSMEs also there. There are a lot of opportunities for a job creation. And in this, our objective is to the biggest challenge in the current scenario is basically the lack of unique model to bring the required momentum in MSME sector. So there is no specific model. Actually, there is a very general approach, government policy set, and there are big players. They try to take advantage of that. In that, in that rush, basically SMEs, MSMEs are left out. So, there is a lack of dedicated Make in India model for SMEs. MSMEs very clearly you can see that. More focus on OEMs and tier 1, tier 2 suppliers of OEMs. So the big player, they're having a money power, they're having a technology power, they're having a international network, collaborations. So they can easily dominate. Confined to engineering, established manufacturing. These are the some of the sectors. It's confined. It is not like all industries. In all sectors, it's not happening. Clear PLI scheme for organized sector. So there is a very clearly in some sectors PLI, production linked incentive schemes are applicable, and their big players are taking advantage, and there is a lot of things are happening in that sector. PLI scheme targets big players and no support for the big. There is no support for the small players like SMEs. There is a typo in this small players. Lack of process approach for SMEs to become suppliers. There is absolutely there is no government center policy, but PLI scheme is announced, and there are absolutely SMEs, MSMEs, no clue where to how to take advantage of these things, and they don't have that required skill set and system to support them. Lack of quality system and the lack of quality engineering system. They are not equipped to do this. So there is definitely there is a shortage of manpower. Lack of industry specific approach in different sectors. Many MSMEs unable to use Make in India scheme. So what is our solution? Unleash creativity and building engineering support skills for MSMEs. So we try to do something very uniquely through our IPQC platform, and so we try to give a complete solution. We try to handhold them, like there are many stakeholders in the entire value chain, supply chain, basically, in Make in India. Under Make in India, there are many design companies involved. There is the CAD CAM companies, 3D printers, machine tool companies, process engineering experts involved, jigs and tools engineering companies, manufacturing experts, also part of this ecosystem, IT companies, production system, and industry 4. There are a lot of things in industry 4 related initiatives, and sourcing and supply chain companies, assembly and distribution companies, support services such as HR and finance. All these people play a big role in Make in India initiative. Make in India approach for MSME. This is actually what we recommend. IPQC try to bring more project management concept in new product development, process approach and system approach for SMEs, bringing collaborative approach among the stakeholders. We try to bring a collaborative approach so that MSMEs need not, basically build on their own all this required skill set. We try to create a platform there collaboration happens. So we try to bring a process approach, a system approach for MSMEs, CAD CAM and engineering solutions. So use digitization basically in a connected factory, digital factory concept through CAD CAM and engineering solutions. IPQC try to basically bring those some of the best quality systems from established industries to MSMEs, and quality engineering systems from design stage to final production. So using digital manufacturing system industry 4 practices also we try to facilitate, and you need not invest a lot of money in those initiatives. Basically we try to bring something like shared concepts, training and skill building. This is the one deficiency we have seen across all industries. MSMEs, there is a lot of skill gap. So continuous improvement support system like a lean and manufacturing systems, bringing shared services approach to really able to compete with the big players. So we try to reduce the entire support and overhead cost. Basically for a small MSME can use all these modern tools and can compete with the big players like a tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, and can even become a supplier to these OEMs. These are all things we try to help them. Digital transformation and AML tools. We try to bring this thing in a big way so that the deficiency, whatever the missing thing in the MSME, we try to build those gaps through these initiatives so that they can really compete with the big players like a tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, and can become a at least qualified to supply to those big OEMs. So in nutshell, if you see that the holistic view of MSME sector with the Make in India lens we need to see, and sector specific standard approach we are strongly recommending, collaborative approach for the co-creation in value chains, using digital platforms for the shared services. So building a required skill set and professionals for SMEs, continuous creation of skill sets in entire value chain. We are going to focus digital transformation for a low cost automation and industry 4 initiative. These are some of the things we are strongly recommending for MSMEs, and we'll be doing a lot of webinar series in coming days, and there is a continuous, like, we try to bring all the stakeholders to this platform and address these issues on a regular basis, so that MSME really want to take advantage of this. They can use our platform to basically learn and build those skill sets, identify the gaps, and become a world-class supplier to OEMs. This is our end objective, making them world-class, globally competitive supplier to OEM. for an MNC, OEM or an MNC. So with that objective, we are trying to initiate. This is just initial stage. So we'll be coming up with the various initiatives in coming days. We'll be communicating that. So we will close this session. If you have any questions and question answers thing, session is open now. So you can ask questions, any clarifications if you need, we can clarify doubts. Thank you.